Sorry, Commissioner, one moment, please. Thank you.
Yes, certainly I would. I have copies of the motion, which I will circulate to commissioners so they have it in front of them. And then I'm happy to proceed to introduce the motion. I don't usually do this, but I think I would like to read the whereases if I could, only because I think there's a lot of information that is important for the public to know about the future.
Generally, we have 5 minutes to introduce a motion.
You'll have,
so
I'll get it
perfect.
in 5 minutes, no
Thank you,
problem.
Commissioner.
So the Vancouver Park Board has jurisdiction over Vancouver Parks per the Vancouver Charter. And the Vancouver Sun reported earlier in the week that with the addition of a performance by the legendary California hip-hop band Cypress Hill, record crowds are expected at Vancouver's 420 event, being held at Sunset Beach on Saturday, April 20th. 420 event organizer Dana Larson told Post Media News that the band has been booked by 420's main sponsor, Crop King Seeds, to bring more people to the unpermitted event. It is the first time in 420 Vancouver history that an event has had a headline act with Cypress Hill's mainstream popularity. Backing this big crowd claim, Larson said the event is also on a Saturday this year, which marked the 25th 420 event in Vancouver. According to the Weather Network, on April 20th, it is forecast to be sunny with no chance of rain and a high of 10 degrees. I want to give you a little history. On February 11th, 2006 is when commissioners were first advised by the general manager that the city of Vancouver had at the time agreed to cover all costs from this event, including any damage to the park. On February 15th of that year, Park Board Chair Kirby Young wrote a letter to the mayor expressing the board's grave concerns. On March 6, 2017, the Park Board passed the motion stating that in the interest of upholding the park control bylaw, the Vancouver Park Board will not permit or approve further 420 and or Cannabis Day events on any property that falls on Park Board jurisdiction. On March 15th, 2017, a letter signed by the majority of commissioners was sent to the Park Board GM. And at that time, I was one of those four, and as was Chair McKinnon. On February 11th of this year, the Park Board passed a motion directing staff to explore options available to preclude the sale of cannabis and cannabis-related products at the upcoming 2019 420 event in consideration of the new legal framework in place. At that time, the board also sent a letter to Mayor Kennedy Stewart and the organizers to request a continuation of the exploration of other venues that would not cause disruption to West End area residents, seawall users, and the Vancouver aquatic patrons, with a goal of having this event relocated by 2020, and to prioritize all means to minimize impacts on local residents in regard to air quality, noise, music levels, traffic destruction, and restricted access to the seawall. Therefore, my motion asks that an urgent meeting be convened of senior staff of all relevant agencies, Vancouver Police, Vancouver Fire and Rescue, Vancouver Coastal Health, BC Ambulance Service, including our park rangers, and any additional appropriate agencies to review safety issues around this expanded, unpermitted event. That Park Board staff immediately contact the 420 organizers to request a cancellation of the Cypress Hill performance in an effort to control crowd size and possible damage to Sunset Beach Park, and that the Park Board continue to not provide any support, such as facilitating the setup of staging, electronic equipment, and booths for the purpose of providing entertainment or the purpose of selling cannabis and related products. What I've since learned is that there are now approximately 500 commercial stalls being sold at anywhere from $500 to $1,500. I was on the Linda Steele show today, and Linda Steele advised me that she had done some research and believed that they were paying about $100,000 for the band. Also, she indicated to me that she was aware that approximately $500,000 in sponsorship money had been made available to this group. So this is a very large money-making operation, and over the last 2 years, it's cost the taxpayers of Vancouver $600,000. I think it's time as a park board we stood up. I would hope that this board will continue to support the work of the previous board and the motion that was passed in February of this year and say, you know what, We are responsible for parks. There is no smoking in parks. This is not an event that we're happy about, and we are certainly not going to facilitate it, and we want to make it safe. So that's what I'm hoping for the support of my fellow commissioners. I think we need to send a strong message, and I think we need to send a message to the city that we need their help and support to make sure that our parks are safe for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Are there any questions of the Commissioner on his motion? Commissioner Dumont.
Thank you, Commissioner Cooper, for excuse me, bringing this motion forward. I appreciate it, and I appreciate your involvement and engagement and passion for the issue. My question for you is, are you concerned that there's anything within the motion that staff is already doing? It's purely concerned that we are asking staff through this motion to execute perhaps either meetings or strategies that they are already accomplishing, and if so, is that a concern for you within the context of this?
Well, I think that what we heard, was a dramatic escalation. I know that our staff have in fact been meeting over some time, and I think as has the VPD and the other agencies that are involved, and they're very professional, and I have a lot of confidence in the work that they do. However, I don't think there was a contemplation until this was announced on Twitter, not more than a few days ago, really, that this was going to be ramped up. The organizer, Dana Larson, is talking about doubling the size of the event. I've been to 420 when 40,000 people are in that space, and it's pretty full. If you add another 40,000 people into that space with the proximity to the water, proximity to the seawall, and all of that, I think that we need to send a message, and our staff need to meet very quickly and make sure that they're doing everything to ensure that there isn't any health and safety issues.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Dumont. Commissioner Irwin.
Yes, thank you for this motion. I'm not sure that part of it falls under our ability to influence the event. Are you aware that Toronto's doing 420, Canada's first legal celebration? Edmonton's holding 420 on the legislature grounds. Maybe they're going to celebrate too soon, but just a joke. Sorry, I couldn't help it. Yeah, are you aware of these movements in other parts of our country?
Well, of course, there are these things happening in a lot of locations, and I think I have no problem if they're not happening in a park. My concern is it's in our park, it's in our jurisdiction. We have a clear no smoking bylaw, and I think it's time to send a message that this is a very costly event. If you think about, we were just through a budget cycle here, and I know how difficult it is to get some extra money for gardeners or other services. And when you're talking about the city taxpayers paying $600,000 so that a private event operator basically can make a whole lot of money, I think it's time we stood and said, enough. This is enough. We're not going to. We certainly don't want to facilitate it. We certainly don't want to make it easy, and that's my feeling. And I think it's supported by the previous decisions of the board. I would not have brought this motion forward had there not been this major escalation, and I think that's what makes it certainly time sensitive, and it makes it a concern.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner, you have a follow-up?
Yes, this is to the cost, because I remember reading in the media that it wasn't that high. Like 600,000 seems like a lot of cost to me. I seem to remember something like 160. Was it not $160,000 policing cost, and then around 60,000 other costs? I'm just not sure about.
Sure.
The accuracy of your numbers.
I'm happy to break the cost down for you from the City of Vancouver. So in 2017, Parks and Recreation were $34,600. Vancouver Fire and Rescue Services was $11,700. VPD was $170,000. Engineering was $25,900, and other staff, 311 Emergency Management, was $39,200. Last year, Parks and Recreation was $37,500. Vancouver Fire Rescue was $18,000. VPD was $184,600. Engineering was $28,400. Other staff, 311 emergency management, was $32,800 for a grand total of $583,784.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm next in line, and I'm asking the will of the board to suspend the rules so that I could ask clarification question from the general manager. Do I have the permission? Thank you very much. So I was going to say through the chair, but that's me. To the general manager. There are three parts to Commissioner Cooper's motion. Are any of these parts, A, B, or C, things that staff have engaged in since the announcement of the Cypress Hill performance?
I believe that, we have had a meeting since that announcement. Perhaps not with all senior staff from all of these agencies, but certainly the working group that we've established. And I know we have an upcoming meeting already scheduled with respect to that. B, we did not do this. We have not done B at all. And C, we continue not to facilitate support. That is ongoing work that we do. So I would say B clearly has not been done.
All right. So my question to Commissioner Cooper, and I'm showing you I appreciate what you've brought here. Seeing that A has been done by staff, with what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
okay. I'm going to ask you. This is my question to you.
Sure.
Seeing as I've heard that, would you consider taking A out? So,
well, I think that's the reason. I heard Mr. Bromley's answer with respect, and I heard some ambivalence around the senior staff part, and I think that this is a big issue. I think this is an issue for the senior staff of the Park Board and the senior staff of the City of Vancouver. So I feel that it's important for that to be there. I will admit that the item C is a similar resolution which was passed in the February 2019. I put that in because what I was hearing is that we were allowing access to set up this big stage and the amplification equipment and that sort of thing. And I thought it was very important that we be very clear with the public that we are not doing that. So I thought it was important to have that in the motion. But I will agree that the board has already stated that. I think it's important that we make sure that we're following through on that direction.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Commissioner Dumont, you have a question.
It's been answered in the dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Irwin?
Yes. Can I have leave to ask a question of staff?
Suspend them. Yes.
Yeah. I know your experience in Toronto, long-time experience. Is the Yonge Dundas Square a public park?
It was never, it was very small at Dundas Square. When I was there, it wasn't at this scale. It was probably.
But is it a public park? Is it? Like
no,
public?
it's not. It's a civic square.
Civic Square.
Yeah,
Okay,
right across the meeting center.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Seeing as there are no more questions of the mover, we'll move into debate. And are there any commissioners who have a comment? Commissioner Barker.
Thank you, and thank you for bringing this forward. When we moved, when we had the February 11th motion, and that went through, I felt it was given, I felt on the, we'll let this year go, next year we're going to change it. And part of me felt that when we did that, the 420 people just ramped it up. Well, we get to be here, and we're not gonna move. And yeah, some of the conversation from the mayor, everything just felt like it was going to just slide through. And so when I heard the Cypress Hill was being booked, I think that was another like, no, we're going to stay, and we're even going to put on a bigger event this year. And so I felt the frustration, along with so much of the public has been contacting me about, well, if we said we were going to move, that didn't really help. And I think that the public is concerned that we're just letting this go and letting this go and letting this go. So I'm going to very much approve this motion to say that we're not letting it go. You can't just keep on coming in. To me, this is bullies. This is bullies coming into our park saying we're not going to listen to you. And I think this is a way to say, no, we don't accept those bullies. So I'm definitely going to be supporting it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Irwin is up next.
Yes, I think I will vote against this motion, given the fact that I'm having trouble seeing how we will operationalize the request. And I'm also concerned that, the vilification of people within the discourse is not that helpful. I would just like to make that comment, but I will not support this.
Thank you. Commissioner Dumont. Oh, sorry, excuse me.
Thank you, Chair. I will be supporting Part B of this motion for sure, and I'm still having a hard time with A and C, so I would ask that we sever the motion if possible. I just have a process issue, particularly with Part C, in restating that our staff should continue doing what they're doing. For me, that it just rubs me the wrong way. I feel that Commissioner Cooper's distinction in regards to senior staff in Part A and the plan meeting, just outlining that that is the request of the board, makes sense, and I will support Part A. I think that there's been an escalation of rhetoric on both sides of this argument. I wouldn't say that I'm particularly impressed with the level of debate or dialogue that's been going on. I'm hearing a lot of yes versus no arguments, protest, not a protest arguments. And frankly, I've just kind of been watching it go around and round in circles. My personal approach to this was to decline media requests and to not comment thus far, because I didn't feel that we were making any headway. As a matter of fact, I felt like by sort of championing this and pushing this in the media, we managed to provide quite a lot of free advertising for the event itself. So that was my experience through this. This is my first 420 as a commissioner. So that said, I feel that I can support B quite easily. I feel like that is an escalation on the part of the organizers of this event that I will not, I don't approve of particularly. I think to invite Cypress Hill to play at our park is insane in the brain, insane in the membrane. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I find myself next in the queue, and I echo many of the remarks of Commissioner Dumont. And so all you need to do is ask for it to be severed, but I support the severing. And I'm not big on asking staff to do the job that they've been given. Commissioner Giesbrecht is up.
Likewise, Commissioner Dumont, thank you for the request to sever the motion. I'm happy to support Part B of this motion. I can't really think of anything less appropriate to a Vancouver park than a Cypress Hill amplified in the middle of a residential neighborhood. And I think the organizers of 420, if their ambition is to get a broader cannabis support amongst a more general mainstream public, probably hosting a 420 event and magnifying the size of it as well as the sound of it is probably not a good way to kind of further their advocacy for accepted broad-based use of cannabis and cannabis products.
Thank you, Commissioner. Seeing as there are no more speakers, we will move to the vote. So the motion, a request has been made to sever the motion. And so we will start with Part A. Those in favor of Part A? And, okay. And again, McKinnon contrary. Part B, are those in favor? And that would, against, Commissioner Irwin contrary. And Part C, those in favor? And those opposed? And opposed are Dumont, Giesbrecht, McKinnon, and Demers. So, parts. Let me get this right. I'm sorry. Dumont, Giesbrecht. So, A. So, parts A and B. The board, we just taking that out. So that's the motion. Yeah, it just drops off. So parts A and B pass. Correct? Meeting clerk? Thank you very much. I'd like to note that we will be holding a special meeting on April 30th to receive the report from the Flats Arterial Community Panel. Thank you. Do members have any other business? Yes.
the
That will be
30th?
sent in our do we have a time?
Is it 6:30?
Thank you.
Okay.
6:30.
Thank you.
All right. Do members have any inquiries?
Oh, yes, I did.
Commissioner Giesbrecht?
I sent them out earlier by email today. Did you receive